Hello Trigglers and welcome to the channel. So what I'm gonna show you guys today are three very simple things. Gonna show you the offset controls like I have right here, how to make them move in unison, how to set up the skeletons, the basic things you kind of need to know before you start rigging at a very basic level up to intermediate. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, let's go to the first part, creating the actual skeleton and joints and shit. So, never ever do that in perspective view, ever. So, go to another view. I'm gonna just go to the side view right here. Go to skeletons, create joints, and then if you hold down shift while creating this, you'll always make them in a straight line. So there you go. Let's just make 4 like that. All right. Then you can just press enter, or you can just click whatever, and it just creates the joints. Right. So this is very simple. And if you go back to perspective view, it pretty much looks like this. And then you can move them around and adjust them to the mesh you have, which isn't really that hard. But there's a problem when it comes to, let's say you wanted to move this one, right? You want to shift it to the left or right for whatever reason. Shifting it like this is easy because you see that this guy just kind of follows with the arrow, it just points at it, but the guy beneath also follows. Let's say that you wanted to move this guy but not the guy below for whatever reason, then you can just hold down D and there you go. D is the command you use to actually move pivot points. So what you want to do is you hold down the D key and then you can just move this joint freely. All right, so that's basically just creating the skeleton. Another thing I want to show you guys is, let's say you're creating fingers, right? So let's say you're doing something like this, all right? And then you kind of want everything to be connected. Let's say this is a wrist. So how do you connect this and this to that? So there's two pretty simple sentences I want you guys to remember. Remember one of them. Either it's a parent constrains a child or a child has a parent. All right. So these two are the children of the parent, and then you press P. P is the short command to parent. All right. So let's go through that again. So a child has a parent, right? So these two are the children of the parent. Bam. That easy. Now, if you wanted to, let's see, let's create joins like this, and then parent this one to that. Easy peasy. Let's say you wanted to make a join in between because you kind of, I don't know, you fucked up or whatever. There's an easy way to do that without, inserting a joint like this and then reparenting it like this, and just no, fuck that. What you do is you press insert joints, click and drag from the joint you want to insert it in, and voila, there you go. Just let go and it's done. All right, so the next thing we want to do is create offset controls where we can, we could just, press this, whoops, there you go, and just bind this like that. The problem with doing it like this is that I always have to click the joint, right? So I always have to click the joint and drag it and move it like this. And of course the skin bind isn't really affected because I have 2 layers of skin, skeletons or whatever. But the point is that I can't go in and just, constantly select the joints and, turn them like this. It doesn't make any sense to do it like this. Not at all. So what we want to do, let's move history on that one. What we want to do is we want to do it like this. We want to make a control like I showed you in the beginning of the video that allows us to click and just rotate or move or whatever. Like the ones I had one over here, one in the elbow and one in the wrist. And there's 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to show you 2 ways. Well, there's probably a lot of ways to do this, but there's 2 ways that are very simple. One actually uses a script, but let's say for whatever reason the script doesn't really work, I'm going to show you the manual way of doing this first, which is really easy as well. So let's go with the manual way first. The manual way is not hard. The only thing you need to make sure that you actually have the outliner up, and then you go to create, Nerves primitives, select any primitive. I'm just gonna go with a circle. I'm gonna rotate that bad boy upwards. And then we have a lot of trash values. Freeze that one. And do yourself a favor, just name this. Like if you if you know that this is gonna be connected to the shoulder, just name it left shoulder offset control, like that. It's so easy. It saves you a lot of time. So the next step is select that one, Control G to group it in itself, name that one as well, left shoulder offset group, like that. I mean, there's a lot of naming conventions. I'm not going to stick to a lot of them right now because I'm just showing you how it's done. So there you go. Make sure now that you actually select the group in the outliner and not just manually click it like this, because if you manually click it like that, you're going to select the shape. We do not want to select the shape right now. All right. So you take the group, click the joint you wanted to snap to, right? So in this case, this is shoulder, right? So select the group, shift click on the shoulder joint, and then we go P. That easy. And the next step is, of course, shift click on the plus to open everything up at the same time. Go down to the group, all right? Select all the values, 0 them, and then you can just press the group again, shift P to unparented, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a offset control that is in the right rotation, right spot and everything, and you have no values on your shape either, and you're pretty much ready to constrain now. All right, this time around we're going to go through the script. The script is really simple. I'm not going to explain the script. I'm just going to leave it down in the description down below. I got it from a teacher as well a while back. So here we go. So what you do with the script is pretty much you create a circle. Well, you don't have to be a circle, any primitive really. Circle that bad boy around, freeze transformation, and then you just select the joint, and then you run the script. Bam, easy as that. Now there's another thing the script does. It actually applies a parent constraint as well. The control we did last, well, the manual, it didn't actually apply a parent constraint, but I'm gonna go through that in a little while. So let's try that again. Let's do one for the wrist. So what we do is we go circle and then we rotate the bad boy up like that. Freeze transformation, select the joint, script, done. So to wrap this one up, I recommend you to actually watch this video a couple of times because this part is going to be a little bit tricky. It's going to be about hierarchy and why things work as they do, but it's not gonna, I'm not going to do it way too complex. I'm just going to show you guys what happens. And so we got the groups right here. What I would recommend you to do is select all 3 groups and just group them together and just call them, like, I don't know, left shoulder all group. There you go. But that pretty much, it's like you can group as many things as you want. It doesn't really matter right now because it doesn't destroy any hierarchy or whatever. It just makes it way much tidier in here and you can just find everything way better. Make sure to do that while you're rigging because you're gonna have a shitload of stuff in the outliner. So anyways, what is happening now is that when you use the script, is if you press this, you see that it actually highlights everything that is beneath it, and this one actually highlights everything that's beneath it, which is right now nothing besides the wrist joint. But if you did it manually, it doesn't really select anything, and that's because this one with the script actually applies a parent constraint. Just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna remove the 2 parent constraints right now, just so we can practice. So what happens is that if you did this manually, you're not gonna have any parent constraints. If you use the script, you're gonna have parent constraints all over the place. So for the sake of simplicity right now, delete the parent constraints so we can go through this together and, you know, understand what happens every step of the way. So I want you to select the actual thing. I want you to manually click it. Do not select the group. You do not want to select the group. I want you to manually click the thing and then click the joint you wanted to control. Go to constrain, parent. Bada bing, bada boom, you can actually move it. Right? So, but as you saw, when we move this, these two aren't really parented to anything, they're not constraining anything, so they're not tagging along. So what we want to do now is we want to go to this one, select the select that one, select the shoulder, constraint, parent. All right, easy. Select that, and I'm just going to press G to repeat last command. And there you go, 3 parent constraints. And now there's another problem that occurs here. Now, if I select this and drag it, you can pretty much see that it doesn't tag along. And this is the problem of hierarchy right now. All right, because you see we have 3 different groups, 3 different control objects, and we're pretty much saying that they're standalones. They don't have any parent, or they do not have anyone to follow. All right. So what I want you to do is open all of this. I want you to grab the elbow group, mouse 3, and then let go on the shape of the shoulder, all right? And I want you to do the same thing with the wrist. I want you to grab the wrist, drag it, and drop it on the elbow. So what pretty much happens now is that you're telling that the shoulder is the alpha male, and everyone else just follows the group. Because what happens now is that you can move everything separately. Now, why we have to do this is just because if we just go back, there you go. So what happens now is that if I would move this, it doesn't really tell the other parts to move along, because you're not saying, well, you know, if dad moves, so does I. You haven't really assigned the follow John type of hierarchy yet. So what you're doing with, you know, the mouse 3 drag and drop thing is that saying this group always has to move according to this group, all right? And then this group always has to move accordingly to this group. Well, not according to the group, more like to the shape, all right? So what happens is that you do this and that. Oh, whoa, wait, that was my bad. I did a mistake here. The wrist, that one to the elbow group. Bam. There you go. My bad. Move and move. Easy as that. Now, I recommend you to watch this video again, you know, slower, because I tend to do this really fast, but that is because there's some people to watch this just to repeat, you know, what they already know, just to make sure they're not doing anything wrong. And there are other people that do this because they're beginners. But again, watch this and learn. If you do not understand, ask a teacher or just put a comment, you know, down below, and I'll try my best to actually answer your questions. I haven't really gone in depths with the type of, you know, constraints you have. I'm not going to do this I'm not going to do that in this video, but I'm going to show you one other type of constraint. So the constraint we did was a parent constraint that pretty much allows us to do anything, right? It allows us to move everything as we want to. But if I wanted to make sure that this elbow only can only rotate and cannot be translated, in other words, cannot be moved from side to side, I would have to use another type of constraint. So let's press this, and I'm actually just going to remove the parent right here. So what happens is that I'm going to press this. You know what, let's just remove all the parents. Bam. All right, the hierarchy is still on its, you know, built. So the hierarchy can be built after or before, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so the shape, select the shoulder, constraint, Orient Constraint, and we're gonna do the same thing for all 3 of these. So select that one, like that, bam, U to U. And what happens now is that as I try to move this like from side to side, it doesn't really actually allow me to do anything. But if I try to, you know, rotate it, it actually allows me to do stuff. What Orient Constraint does is pretty much, it just removes the possibility for you to translate stuff. In other words, move it like this. It just flat out denies you, all right? But it keeps on the rotating values. Like if you check the rotate, it just, the only thing that it actually accepts is the rotate, because you see, as soon as I try to translate it to anything, it just says, no, I'm not allowed to because I'm constrained. All right, so parent allows you to do anything. It just pretty much constrains something to tell you that, you know, I'm leading you, but parent leaves you with every option open. Orient Constraint is something that tells the joint to, well, you're allowed to rotate, but that's pretty much it. All right, that's pretty simple. Orient Constraint is used a lot for joints, just like elbows and everything. Of course, there's more in-depth Orient constraints as well, because you don't really want this type of movement when you're, unless you're going to break the dude's arm, you don't really want that constraint. So that you can kind of lock values, but that is way beyond intermediate level. So as the last thing I want to do now is I want to create an IK handle, a pole vector, and I'm going to introduce you guys to some problems you may run into with the script or without the script that you might be using right now, and how to solve them, of course. So what you want to do first is create an IK handle, right? But I've messed around with the arm. I'm not going to, touch that because of the sake of simplicity for this video. So go to skeleton, make sure to click the little checkbox, and make sure that it's on rotate. If it's on single chain, it doesn't allow you to apply any type of pole vectors to kind of control it. That will make sense in a couple of seconds. So just make sure that it's on rotate plane solver, right? And then you select the joint you wanted to start at and the joint you wanted to end at. And there you go. Bada bing, bada boom, you have an IK handle. It's simple as that, all right? But the problem is now that if you want to select it, you kind of have to go down to this little brown thing right here that is the effector or whatever, and move it around, or you have to kind of select it through the outliner, which is kind of annoying. You want an offset control just like these ones we created before, right? So what you do is you can just create NURB and whatever primitive, but I'm gonna do something more fancy. I got this way back from my teacher. So footprint, just like that. You select that one, select the IK handle, run the script, and here's problem number 2. All right, so the offset is right there, right? The control group and everything works. It's controlling the IK handle, but it's not really at the ground now, is it? And as I said before, and your teacher probably told you 1,000 times, do not move these. Like, it'll get a lot of trash values, but there's one way to move it around without, giving it a lot of values. So what you want to do, again, press this, Control 1, go to Control Vertex, hold X to snap it to the grid. That's not the grid, that is the grid, all right? Then Control 1 to go back, object mode, and there you go. If I press this one right now, 0 values whatsoever, and it's still controlling the feet. All right, so I'm gonna do that again because I think that part is a little bit messy for you to understand. So footprint, select the joint you wanted to control, run the script, select the offset, Control 1 to isolate it, Control Vertex, hold X to snap to grid, Control 1 again to go back, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. That easy, all right? Last but not least, pole vector, all right? I'm not gonna confuse you with more terminology or whatever. A pole vector is something you apply to a IK handle, all right? I'm not gonna explain what happens, I'm just gonna show you what happens, all right? It's not a very pro video, this is more for beginners and intermediates. So let's go. I'm just gonna create a cube to control it, and I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Use a script for this, all right? Just get the script from the description. Take your time and actually get it to work. And this is what you do. You select 3 points. You select that one, that one, that one, and you want the locator to be in the middle. So what happens is that it takes the 3 points you've selected and takes the one in the middle, right? So this is point 1, point 3. It takes the point 2, all right? You run the script. You get a locator. I'm just gonna drag that a little bit more out. I'm gonna hold down V to snap this to the locator, bada bing, bada boom, and then I can just remove the locator, just like that. I'm gonna select the offset control. I'm gonna select the IK handle, and then I'm gonna go to pole vector constraint. That easy. So what happens now is that I can select this one, drag this one up and down, and then I can select the pole vector as well, and freely control it like this as well. All right, you see this is a little bit more centered towards the top, while this is more centered towards the bottom. Okay, so to wrap up, what have we done? We have created skeletons, we have created joints, we have made offset controls, we've flicked around a little bit on constraints. We made a pull vector, we made an IK handle, and this is pretty much it. Of course, there's a little bit more complex when it comes to actually naming you things as FK control, and then the IK is an IK control. But that type of terminology is something you can watch in any other YouTube video. I'm not gonna make another one to, just add in the sea of already existing videos. I don't think that they'll help anyone. And thank you guys for watching, and good luck. If there's any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try my best to explain or elaborate or answer your question. Thank you.